Multiculturalism is an idea that connotes the coexistence of diverse cultures and the acknowledgement of its differences. It recognizes the plurality of identities, thus promotes equal rights, preserves individual and collective culture, and eradicates historic exclusion, discrimination, and oppression. Common issues that countries face in relation with multiculturalism are the homogenizing of culture, which results to the abstraction of minority groups' social, cultural, political, and class status, and the categorizing of people according to race, gender, occupation, economic status, sexual orientation, and other stereotypes. These concerns, among others, lead to oppression of the less dominant culture or category. The main goal of multiculturalism is recognition. According to the Canadian philosopher Charles Taylor, recognition is not just mere acknowledgement of persons or groups, but equal treatment of each. Non-recognition or misrecognition can inflict harm and discord. Education plays a significant role in raising awareness on the importance of multiculturalism in maintaining social peace and harmony. Education is the key for the reduction, if not elimination, of non-recognition and misrecognition. Multicultural education can be traced back from the 1960s and 1970s civil rights movements in the West. In the 1980s, multicultural education in the Western states expanded into incorporating recognition of other categories such as social class and language, and how these variables affect identity formation. These historical influences reached the Philippines through Western colonization and is still going through developments and further adjustments. Now let me share with you some perspectives of multicultural education in the Philippines. The Philippine education is diverse because of multiple races, cultures, traditions, and religions. Therefore, multiculturalism is expected to be observed and honored in the classroom. The country's curriculum seeks not only to prepare learners to become academically competent, but also culturally sensitive in both local and global endeavors. Free public education was established in the Philippines in the 1900s. Elementary schools were then recognized through the Commonwealth Act No. 586. The increase of Philippine-oriented instructional materials was made possible through Memorandum No. 30 of 1966. And in 2002, integrative learning approaches were introduced through the basic education curriculum. Finally, in 2011, teachers were directed to contextualize and localize instructional materials through the transition of the curriculum into the K-12 program. During the Global Education Meeting held in Brussels, Belgium in 2018, Secretary of Education Leonor Magdolis-Briones presented the country's programs, policies, and development plans to ensure inclusiveness and promote respect for cultural diversity. Among these programs are the mother tongue-based multilingual education, flexible learning options, and indigenous peoples education. The enhanced basic education curriculum reinforces a learner-centered paradigm, yet a significant number of teaching practices remain instruction-centered. Despite good intentions behind teaching, pedagogical studies indicate that teachers in the Philippines are teacher-centered, not learner-centered. This stems to the implication of exclusion, inequality, and imbalance of power. education in the Philippines is oppressive as it focuses on the teacher as the dominant voice in the center of education and only considers learners as secondary, subordinate, and dependent on the teacher as the source of learning, wealth of wisdom, and final authority in the classroom. The point where learners unconsciously become slaves is also called academic othering. This is in contrast to the 21st century learner-centered paradigm of education where learners have more control over learning. Academic othering is consistent with Paulo Freire's banking concept in education, in which he pointed out the imbalance of teacher-student relationship, calling the former an agent of oppression. Freire's counter-argument is the problem-posing method, which encourages dialogue between the teacher and learners. They become jointly responsible for a process in which everyone grows. The teacher shifts from being the sole source of knowledge to someone who allows learners to reflect on ideas and express their views. Anthony Palma also emphasizes that the politics of recognition can lead learners to a more profound level of critical thinking and deeper understanding of human categorization. Plurality of identities must be cultivated in our classrooms. Hence, inasmuch as curriculum reform is needed, a change in the teacher's beliefs and philosophy is also necessary. Aside from contextualization and localization, learners must be exposed with global perspectives and introducing them with the culture of others to eliminate ignorance, promote tolerance, and encourage acceptance.